3 balls in, then we 3 balls out. We all up on your screens like it's prime time's route. Mighty gets the score, and PJ start to scout. Your rhymes really trash, what do you think he's damn fouls? TBI the show, so buckle down, sit back. And Jay we trust, cause he's the leader of the pack. It's prime, Jupiter.
This is TBI 3 balls in alongside Dave and Logan. This is PJs. We are back at it again. Guys, week 5 in the books of leagues. We got week 6 coming up this week. We're going to talk some playoff situation scenarios. And then, of course, we're going to preview week 6. And then we're going to bring back our new loved game named that Jew Baller. Boys, how you doing? Welcome back.
I'm good. Look, happy Valentine's Day, boys. And quite frankly, I can't think of anything else I'd rather spend time with on Valentine's Day than my 2 balls.
No, fantastic. I'm ready to be here. And like Logan said, I'm happy to spend this Valentine's Day with my balls.
Okay, so I'm glad you're picking up Logan's lines here. So let's jump into the first game of week 5, the game that we kind of said was the game of the week. And let's not start with that game. Let's actually go with the Cobras versus the Dogs in a slop fest. 2 teams that are trying to get themselves right. And it's the Dogs who have now won 2 consecutive games, put themselves over 500 at 3-2, touchdowns to Mighty and to Blitz. And of course, on the other side, Sharp had a touchdown. Cobras, it's just they've basically mathematically limited themselves from potential playoff contention, which we'll talk about shortly. But what it came down to is the fact that they were a little undermanned to start the game, and that hurts when you're missing Solo, who I think there was some miscommunication and timing of the game. Walls actually had a good start to that game, and somehow he ended up on the bench. I'm not really sure what happened there. But yeah, any surprise the fact that the Dogs took on the Cobras and beat them by a touchdown?
We've said all season that the Cobras are a really good team when they have their full roster. We've also said all season that the Cobras really struggle when they don't have their full roster.
Yeah.
The one thing that actually surprised me is that the Cobras didn't have their full roster, and the Dogs weren't really able to pull away kind of like how we would have thought they would, going against a team that was not complete, especially missing their first overall pick for a little bit, so on and so forth. Surprising that Big E didn't get more playing time. Again, he starts the game, he's got 2 tips, and but you do what you can. And I love you, Davo. But yeah, it's unfortunate for the Cobras. I think it's been a bit of a rocky season. And quite frankly, I would have loved to see what they could have done with these last couple of games with a full roster. We may never know. But, season 1 is always tough for any team. If you count the draft, if you count just team chemistry, if you count game planning, so on and so forth, it's tough. But, hopefully they're growing pains and they can only go up from here.
Davo, you surprised for the 2-1, 14-7 victory for the Dogs over the Cobras?
Surprised that the Dogs didn't put up more points. Not necessarily, because like we did mention that the Cobras can play well if their full roster is there. Even though they weren't all there at certain times, I think they overcame and they played well. The most interesting thing for me that I saw out of this game was the Dogs sacked Perla 8 times. And in this, there's actually a first in Jubal history that's been recorded, and that Mighty finally got a sack. In all of his recorded years in Jubal stats that we have on the website, he has not recorded a sack until Sunday. So I just thought that was interesting for those of you playing at home. He now also has 1 more sack than Prey, which might give him a leg up on the MVP. I'm not sure. But no, I mean, the game was close, but I think the Dogs just didn't have that extra gear to pull away. But they need to get it because playoffs are coming soon, and that's how if they're gonna have a chance, they're gonna have to pull away.
I think my surprise here is the fact that Goldberg didn't get a single touch the entire game. For whatever reason, him and Perla just were not on the same page. But the fact that I don't think Goldberg had a single reception, and I'm not sure if he even had a target in this game. So That just says right there, definitely something they got to work on. If they're ever teammates again next year, let's say going forward, so you got to figure out how you don't get Goldberg a touch in that game, and that's a game you needed because he could have kept you alive in the playoff hunt. But all right, that's us. And I was wrong. You guys were right. Dogs over the Cobras, and for the Cobras, I think there's a lot of for Perla, this was a good learning season for him. You love his fight. You love the fact that he got hurt and came back, and let's see what they can do. A little spoiling last week of the season. All right, let's move into the other game of the week, which is Bob versus Lionhearts. And this is a game that I think really comes down to what happened at 7:20 in the morning before the game even started. And this is your own posting in the chat for the second week in a row. What the week before that being Vets Rooks, and he got the victory when he was able to get Storm. But here was a different scenario where his league team was missing four of their top players, I should say, and we're down big time. And he got a team together with the help of Justin, right? Justin, who played for him, Prime's twin. You're underman. You don't know who's going to be your roster. And he goes out there, and Dave will correct me if I'm wrong, but 3 pick sixes. 1 by Fight, and then 2 by the Iceman, Yoni O.
Correct.
The front runner for what we would consider to be Rookie of the Year, right?
Fight was actually a one-handed.
Wow. Okay.
Feet got hands.
Feet got hand.
Oh,
a 5-2 victory, obviously, for the Bop over Lionhearts. Logan.
Yeah, I mean, look, we knew that this was going to be an uphill battle for the Lionhearts, even with a full roster. When you start saying that they're down, a couple of their first couple of round picks, it's a really, really hard matchup. Yeah, I would assume that the picks that Yaron threw, again, I didn't see the game, but those picks were probably due to him forcing some balls that he just maybe felt he had to throw instead of that he wanted to throw. But, Bop is a great team. And, anytime that you're down one of your players, never mind 3, it's really, really a tough matchup.
Davo, you played in the game. Thoughts on the game? Anything surprise you?
Surprise, no. I do like the effort that the Lionhearts did put in, even though it's really hard. Like when, like you said, 7:20, we're going into the game and they're like, "Oh, we're just gonna play sixes." Like you're mentally, it's tough. It's tough to get up for that game. Now you're like, are we really even playing? Is this Jubal now? Like, what are we doing? But kudos to them because they showed up. A lot of them were hobbling and injured, but they tried hard and they played. Yaron didn't have his greatest game, but as well, he didn't have a team. We talked about with like the Cobras, how they need to have their team to play to win. I think that goes with anybody. If you don't have your team that you drafted, that you put in mind that this is what I need to try to win a championship, you can't. It's much harder to win. I'm not saying you can't do it, but it's much harder. So I don't want to necessarily call out his team because again, this person has that. This everybody's busy, but like as a team, I feel like they need to show up for your own. We'll get into that later. How they have a big game this Sunday, but Yaron is he's dragging along, up one week, down the other. And let's see if he can make it through the finish line of the season strong.
All right. No surprise here. I think we all had Bob winning against the Lionhearts. It's a valiant effort when you go out there and you play as hard as you can when you're underman and you don't have your same team, your full team. But it is what it is. It's football. You got to play. And we'll move into what we said was the game of the week, which was Cronies versus Crocs. 2 teams that have yet to play each other this season. And this was an interesting matchup because you had Wildman filling in for Gronk, Weeder at quarterback going against Snow. And to be honest with you, this was a very defensive game. To quote Snow, he said, leagues is kind of designed to be defensive, to have strong defense. And that's what you saw on Sunday. And it started off with a couple 3 and outs by both teams, and then Snow throwing an ill-advised pass that was picked off by Storm. And that led to Weeder throwing a touchdown to Storm, taking a 1-0 lead. And Snow responds back with Snow throwing a deep pass down the left field side to Zin over Tommy with Storm on his back trying to knock the ball away, and Zin comes away with it and gets away from the defense. It's basically an 80-yard touchdown to Zin. It's a 1-1 game. And then, Weeder started feeling himself a little bit in this game and threw a beautiful deep pass to Zada. Like, responds back. It's now 2-1. Defensive matchup here. And BK, who's making a name for himself, but BK
basically had it his way.
Stole the ball away from Zada, takes a pick six back to make it a close game. I think it was a 13-12 game. And this is now coming down to the wire. And we talk about Zin being a perennial MVP last year, the Rookie of the Year. Zin does what great safeties do, and that is they find the ball. And Weeder, ill-advised throw, I think he was trying to hit Jordan in the middle of the field. Deep pass, held up. The wind was really howling in the Lawrence High School field. And he came away with it. Pick six. Weeder was given, I think, like 4 opportunities to respond. We think we extended the game probably longer than we should have. And it just went nowhere. 3 and outs and failed attempts at getting a first down, and they never had it. Thoughts on the game? Shocked by the results?
Well, I predicted Cronies to win. I thought they'd find a way. I thought Wildman would probably have a better game. Not surprised that it was a defensive game, right? And I think Snow hits the nail on the head there. You are less likely to take risks on defense. You are more likely to set yourself up to succeed on defense, which makes it that much harder on the offense. You've got defenses that are playing together or used to playing together. You're setting each other up or at least having players play in positions that suit them best, ideally when you have a full roster. So it's not surprising that a lot of these games are higher on the defense. That being said, kudos to the Crocs. Sometimes if you're not feeling it on offense, whether it's because Snow wasn't having it or the players aren't gelling, whatever it is, good for the defenders. Good for the guys on defense to pick their team up and put the game away on defense.
Open and Sada were grabbing every flag. I mean, their design was to basically go toe-to-toe with our defense and hammer us with a lot of runs and hands off to Rooks from the tight end position, little screens to Zin, slants to Zin. But mostly the guy that they really relied on was BK. BK's job was to kind of be like the running back, fullback type position. And every time BK thought he had a shot at getting around the defense, Zada grabbed his flag, or Open came from the line to grab his flag, really not giving him the opportunity that he needed. And honestly, like, Tom was like the weapon we talked about that Snow likes to go to. Snow tried to go to Tom a few times, and sometimes were effective, sometimes not. He hit Dobbs, I think, for his only other deep pass. But yeah, I mean, definitely the defense of the Cronies limited them. Davo, thoughts on the game?
Well, first of all, I think since Logan started really hammering it in, that Snow throws 4 touchdowns a game. I don't think he's thrown 4 touchdowns since then.
I think he's at most 2. Maybe it's the kiss of death that I'm giving him.
So thanks for ruining Snow.
We had Snow this week. Come on.
Honestly, like I said last week, I would have loved to see Wildman get another game in before coming back. He hasn't played in a long time. We threw him into a game. He hasn't played, a few weeks after that, and we just throw him to another game. He has to get acclimated,
But he did have the benefit of playing the same team twice. So just keep that in mind.
What's interesting?
But he didn't game plan. Like
we'll never know, but I would think it's more advantageous to play with the same team twice than play against the same team twice. But hindsight being 2020, but yeah, anyway, it's a valid point that he does know the team.
And it also doesn't help when you play against Zin twice. So
that's also true. Right.
I would have loved to see him play again. He has, when you watch him, you see like everything running in his brain. Like, am I running? Am I throwing? Where am I throwing to? And it's moving, but it's not up to speed yet. And I think he was just a little late on his designs, his throws, his motion. But that takes time. It's muscle memory, but your muscles got to get to your memory. So I would have liked to see him play a little more. An interesting stat that we were talking pre-show is right now the Crocs currently hold the 2nd seed, but they are also a negative 35 in point differential. This team needs they scored one offensive touchdown on Sunday. This is a team that needs to get their offense going. They need to get going and they need to get clicking. Cronies played well, but end of the day, when you throw 2 pick sixes, it's hard.
Okay, well, that brings this into playoff scenarios. So just to make it clear to everybody, the top spot, the 5-0 team, they've clinched first, the first seed, and that's going to be the Birds of Prey, Bop. They've been the best team all year. Second place, like Davo just said, does go to the Crocs. Third place at 3-2. Third place goes to the Dogs at 3-2 as well. Fourth place, currently holding it right now at 2-3, are the Cronies. And then you have Lionhearts and Cobras both at 1-4 at the bottom of the tied for fifth place. So let's move into the potential possibilities. Cronies play Lionhearts this week. Cronies beat Lionhearts 3 of leagues, right? Cronies won by 13 points. If the Cronies beat the Lionhearts, okay, they're in. No problem. 500 team, 3-3. They take the 4th spot in the playoffs, eliminating the Lionhearts. Should the Lionhearts win, do they make the playoffs?
If they
The answer is it depends.
So why does it depend, Logan?
Because we look at head-to-head point differential as the first tiebreaker between these two teams. And as you alluded to earlier, the first time that this team met, Cronies won by 13. So Lionhearts would have to at least beat them by 13 for this to have a conversation. If they only win by 12, then a loss would still have the Cronies in the 4 seed.
So let's play off that scenario for you one more time. Cronies win, they're in. Cronies lose by 12 points, they're in. Cronies lose by 13, then it goes to the next tiebreaker, which I guess would be point differential in total, right? I guess that would be the next, or the commissioner would have to figure it out.
Sorry, not to step on you.
Yeah,
Do it.
Would it not be justice or just desserts, however you wanna?
If Yaron
loses the playoffs by missing an extra,
that would be the most delicious thing I could imagine.
Like, I just thought that'd be
No, that's fabulous. That's right up there with like Allen's donuts.
touche.
Yeah, so that's the 4th seed, 4-5 scenario.
Yeah. Again, here's the thing. Lionhearts, if they win by more than 13 points, they're in. That's it. Cronies can't do anything else about it. Just the other playoff scenarios, just to keep in mind, Crocs and Dogs are really playing for the 2 and 3 seed, but it really makes no difference. It's not like you have home field advantage. So should the Dogs beat Bop this week, they would again, depending on how much they score, they could potentially move into second place, but it really makes no difference.
The one difference it would make is the 2 seed would get ball last. However, if you're planning on beating a team by more than 2 touchdowns, it doesn't really matter.
Well, if you're San Francisco, you obviously don't care what happened by last. But
no, they game plan to have it last. Unfortunately,
as well,
That's a really good point. Yeah.
If the Crocs do win, the Crocs do clinch the 2nd seed.
Okay, so again, we have this week, we have 3 games going on. Bop is playing Dogs, a rematch from a little confrontational, controversial ending of a Davo flag guard on Mighty. So we'll see what
it was like the 3rd play of the game.
still controversial.
And then, of course, you have Crocs versus Cobras, which I think, for Cobras, like end the season off on a positive note.
That the Dogs are still going to try and win, because if they win, like if they lose, they definitely have the 3. But if they win, they have a chance to. So they're going to play to win.
Cronies lost to both Dogs.
And the Cronies are either the 4 or the 5. Lionhearts are either the 4 or the 5.
Okay. Yeah. So let's move into, though, previewing week number 6, league week number 6, the final league week of the season. And we got the premier matchup of the week, the matchup we're all going to look at, and that is Cronies versus Lionhearts. Just to give you some breaking news, gentlemen, Weeder is out at quarterback. In at quarterback is going to be Johnny Fire Flaming Storm. Break it down for us.
All right, we'll do it like we always do. We'll start with the quarterbacks. You've got Yaron versus, as PG just alluded to, Storm. Now, Yaron's coming off of what I would call a less than ideal game last week, but when he's going against an unknown, we've always said, we said it last week, whether it's Wild Man or a different Wild Man named Storm, it's really, really hard to give the leg up to an unknown. So I'm going to give the advantage to Yaron. I don't think that's crazy.
Plus, he has his potentially full squad, right? So he gets back his top picks.
Agreed. So advantage to the Lionhearts at QB. When we look at the line, we've got Burt and Beast versus Open Daxi. And we've said this all season. Open continues to have I don't want to call it MVP, but an MVP lineman type season. He's doing everything he can, both offensively and defensively. And Daxi is, quite frankly, having a great season for someone who's new to Jubal as well. That's an advantage to the cronies right there. When you look at the wide receiver core, and PJs, you just said that he's going to have his full crew. So you got Dax, Jack, Star Fox, and Stats versus Jordan, who's, again, trying to get back to 100%. Zada, Tommy, Sting, who's hopefully making his debut, or his debut since his injury. He played a game earlier. And PJs at wide receiver. There's a lot of talent in both of these secondaries and in these wide receivers core, but I do think that A, they've played together all season, and B, you just have a ton of talent on the Lionheart side. Not that the cronies don't, but again, guys coming off injury or guys who are not playing 100%, plus the fact that they haven't played together all season. I am going to give the advantage to the Lionhearts here in the secondary. As far as the prediction goes, I see the Lionhearts winning this game. However, I don't see them winning by 13. I do see the cronies crawling into the playoffs and sealing up that fourth spot. I see potentially a 3-1 win, but not enough, not the 13 or 14 points that they need. Maybe even a 3-2 win, but a win for the Lionhearts, but I don't see it being enough for a playoff spot.
Gabo?
It's right. You're bringing in Storm as QB, and I think this is probably one of the hardest teams for Storm to come and play QB against because of all the weapons, like you said, in the secondary. The Lionhearts have a fantastic secondary if their whole team is there. You're talking about Stats, Fox, Jack, Dax, 4 fantastic players. If we look back to the week that they played against each other, Yaron threw 3 picks, 2 pick sixes, but those 2 pick sixes were to Gronk. So those 2 pick sixes were actually by Gronk. Gronk left a huge hole with his D gone. Someone's going to need a special D to fill it. It might have to be like a gang effort. Listen, it's a team game at the end of the day. You just got Sting back, hopefully. Jordan came back. Jordan actually had a pick last Sunday. So, maybe you can do it. The cronies are going to need help here. They're going to need Yaron to make some mistakes. They have the ability with Daxi and Open. It's a much greater line than what the Lionhearts have. Yaron is hard to sack because he throws the ball so quickly, but 1 or 2 plays you can jostle him a little bit, and balls up in the air that the cronies are gonna have to come down with. I do think Lionhearts win. I think they win like a 4-2 victory, and I think Yaron has a game plan going in to go for 2s every time. I think he tries to get it. I think he wins by 15, but like I said before, I think it would be hilarious if he loses, or he wins and just is.
So you have Lionhearts making the playoffs and eliminating cronies.
I do.
Okay.
I do. I think this Storm experiment it could turn out well. I don't think this is the week to do it. I don't think it's a lot of pressure to put on the guy, that he needs to make the playoffs. I don't know how comfortable he is, but if he's going to be comfortable, at least he's going behind the line of Open and Daxi to help him, maybe a big run game.
Well, and that's a great transition to what I'm about to say. I think that actually is the guy in this type of situation. You want to put the ball in the hands of. I mean, listen, you're right. It's an unknown. He played quarterback, I think, 1 drive this year on his birthday, threw a beautiful touchdown to Yaron. Again, we're not going to take away the talent away, but in terms of a guy who's going to be out there to do his best for the team, listen, if he doesn't feel like he has it, he'll run it. Like he'll knock people over. Like he's not afraid to run it 4 times in a row if he has to, because he's going to get that first down. And you're not going to stop him getting that first down. If he's got to throw it off, opens back and catch it, to play receiver, like he'll do it. Like he is going to beg, borrow, and steal to make sure that the cronies are in this game on Sunday. It's hard to know. It's hard to predict a quarterback you haven't seen play an entire game. He also hasn't played an entire game at quarterback with his team, and he's getting back Sting, and there's Tommy in the mix, and Jordan is back. So there's a lot of question marks. But the one thing I'll say to you, the crony defense without Gronk is definitely a step back, but it's still a really good defense.
Yeah.
And so for me, that's how I look at it. I'm afraid of the back end of the Lionhearts. I'm being honest when I say I'm afraid of them, meaning the sense that Jack is back there. Jack's incredible. Dak's in the middle. We know Dax is going to blitz from linebacker. Yaron's they're gonna play off and have B stay back and have them blitz, or they're all gonna do or 4-man blitz. Like they're gonna try to play the mind games of Storm to make Storm have to actively play the game of reading where the blitz is coming from. So in terms of like the mind games, I think there will be a ton of mind games done by this team. But here's the part that I'm not afraid of the Lionhearts, and that is when they get punched in the mouth. I don't mean physically or literally, although you have to be careful, the guys like Zada and myself out there. But what I mean is that when they start getting hit a little bit here and there, right? Because this is going to be a chippy game. How do they respond? And I think what we've seen all year is they have not responded well to it. So I'm never going to pick against the cronies. And in this game, I'm not picking against the cronies either. I think somehow, some way, cronies win this game. You ready for the score? 20-19. I think both teams put up 3 touchdowns. But like I said, Yaron's going to miss a couple of those extra points. He'll go for 2 and miss it. I think it's a 20-19 victory for the cronies. They're in the playoffs. They are a 500 4th seed. And you got Bop potentially versus the cronies in round 1. And of course, Dogs versus Crocs in round 2 and round 1 as well.
I think there's also going to be super interesting who scores first. Because I think if the cronies can manage the first score, Yaron and the Lionhearts knowing that they need to put up at least 3 touchdowns to make the playoffs, that's a tall task. And you may see some moves that may not be the smartest, right? You may see people starting to press. So I think whichever team can score first will go a long way to dictate the outcome of this game as well.
For sure. Again, this is the exciting part. This is why, as much as leagues, sometimes you feel like, oh, I hate leagues, or leagues are annoying, or leagues are frustrating. This is what makes leagues amazing. Because you don't know what's going to happen, and it's exciting, and it's kind of thrilling to see who's going to make that 4th playoff spot.
And this is also why every game counts.
Yeah,
like people say, like, oh, we'll just make the playoffs. Well, now you might not just make the playoffs. Now you have to make sure to make the playoffs, and you don't want it to come down to chance. You don't want it to come down to the last game. You want to make sure you're locked in there, and you want to be play. So teams got to show up.
All right, we're not going to break down the other 2 games because they don't have playoff implications for what's going to happen. Obviously, we wish a great week. Does Bob take the week off and just say, hey, listen, we're 5-0, don't risk injury? But knowing Prey and that squad,
Answer's no.
Maybe Prime doesn't fly in for this game, but outside of that, I think it's just good. I mean, good to have football in there. You see teams sometimes that take the last week off in the regular season and end up, falling flat in the playoffs. I don't think Bob does. Yeah, I don't think Bob does that. I think Bob plays hard and they play well. And then, of course, Crocs are playing Cobras. I think it's a good game for Snow. Again, back-to-back weeks for Snow. Like now he played much better this week after Vets Rooks. Now let's build upon that for the Crocs in a potential playoff run. And then for Dogs, it's, the game, again, doesn't matter. They're playing a really good team, but I think, again, it's just good for Dax to continue to build with his team. And who knows, maybe this is the game that pushes Mighty over the top to be the pure MVP of the season. All right. Boys, let's move into our game of the week. Name that Jew baller. Are you ready?
Yeah, you're going to give us all of the stats this time?
Yes, you're going to get all the stats this time.
Thank you.
We'll start with a player.
He likes to be sneaky,
Well, it was the first time I was sneaky. I wanted to see if you guys would figure it out.
It's good for Davo to ask, though. Yeah,
that was a good ask by Davo.
Yeah.
19 games. You ready?
19 games?
19 games by this Jew baller. Here's the interesting thing, though. His record is below 500. Okay?
Are you going to give it to us, or are you just going to say it's below 500?
Are you calling him a loser again?
No, you're calling him a loser again.
He's got 10 touchdowns.
Nice.
He's got eight interceptions.
Good player.
1 pick six. He did get a TD throw at one point this season. Name that Jewel Bowler.
He said 19 games, 10 touchdowns,
8 interceptions, 1 pick six, and he got an opportunity to throw one TD throw.
I got a thought.
Not Zin.
Is it Storm? We just said that he did throw a pick on a touchdown on his birthday. 19 sounds about right.
10 touchdowns, 8 picks. He did start off hot with the picks.
And his touchdowns are, while still great, are down from his MVP season. You want to put a pin in that, or
I like that. It's not Zin.
19 is also a lot, but BK has more than 1 pick six. I don't know even know that he has 19 games. 19 is a lot.
He also doesn't have a thrown touchdown.
Oh, that's true. Right.
If you think about all the people who don't necessarily have thrown touchdowns that are not.
How many pick sixes does Fight have, and has he thrown any touchdowns this year? 19 is too many for him, though, right?
He doesn't have 8 picks.
Yeah, that's true.
I like Storm.
You like Storm? You want to go with Storm? No, let's go with Storm.
Lock it in.
It's a great pick. Yeah, it's Storm. Great job, guys.
Yeah.
I had to go Storm.
Yeah, of course.
But-
Especially with him QBing this week.
My
It's super,
quarterback. Yeah,
super
definitely.
relevant. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. I'll give you guys a little bit of a harder one. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
This
Storm, you're not a loser in my book.
Drew Bowler, 21 games,
Yeah.
2 touchdown receptions, 31 sacks, 2 defensive interceptions. Name that Drew Bowler.
It's got to be someone like Put or like obviously a lineman.
So if you look at all the top sack getters, Kuti,
Who are the ones that have more than 1 a game?
Open. I don't know if Open is. Yeah,
His
Kuti
legs have more than 1 a game?
legs is more than 1.
The legs, I think, has more than 2 TD receptions. He had like 3 in a game.
Beast has more than 1. Daxi has more than 1.
21 games is a lot. Could it be Open?
I don't know if he
Oh, he doesn't have 2 picks, though, right?
No.
Does Dobbs? What about Dobbs? Doesn't have 21 games, though. That's the other issue.
Dobbs.
Well, he does get a lot of.
But he doesn't have 21 games played.
No, but he has. I think he has more picks. And I don't
Could
think he doesn't have.
And he doesn't have 31 sacks, right? That's a good point.
31 sacks is like
31 is more is it's not 2 a game. It's 1.5 a game. Like that's a decent clip, even with the whole Burt fumble bull. Could it be Beast? Beast could easily have 21 games.
I'm thinking Beast. I think Kuti has. I'm trying to remember.
I don't think Kuti has picks. But you know what I mean? Like 2 picks
Right.
is a lot for a lineman.
Kuti doesn't have picks. I don't think Open has picks. I don't think Daxi has picks. Could legs?
But Legs has more than 2 receiving touchdowns.
Yeah, but legs. Yeah, that's right. And legs doesn't have.
And Legs doesn't have 21 games.
Right.
We always forget about Salem, but I feel like we've done his stats before.
We did Salem like
I
the
know,
other weekend.
we forgot about him, but so it's not Salem. I definitely
That's this guy with Jubal. No Jubal, right?
no, he gave us all the stats. That's his thing. He's giving us all the stats now.
Jubal's not a real stat.
It is. Is he over 500? Because Beast is on line hearts. That's a tough.
That's an automatic 104.
He's below 500.
Yeah, well, that helps. That helps Beast. Not that Beast, but seeing on line hearts. Are there any other line? Like, are there linemen where?
I would say Beast.
Do you think Beast is a good guess? I'll go with Beast.
Beast is correct. You guys did great
We're
with this.
2 tonight.
You guys did great on this one. Yeah, in honor of Lionhearts versus Cronies this week, I figured
That's
let's feature
I like
2
that.
players from those games for Jubilar's
I like
name
that.
that Jubilar. All right, gentlemen, Davo, what are they doing this week?
Hit that like button, share, and subscribe. Guys, we do this for you, do this for us. Please, we appreciate it. As well, I think Sick Play is you're still able to join. I think it gets underway
This week,
this week.
this coming week.
For all of you who are missing out, suck it. As well, there's no sign up this week. There's no sign up for barbecues. There is league games the last week. Please show up for your team. Come out and play. For all of you who are gone this weekend for President's Day, enjoy. But just know that you're letting your team down.
We need refs.
Guys, if you're not doing anything, come out and ref the game. We appreciate it. And as much as we crap on refs all the time, they are very useful, and we do appreciate the hard work that they do.
Major shout out by the Sharf and the barbecue. Bosch on the queue as well.
Correct.
Kuti.
We're gonna forget people, but everyone who participated, anyone who donated, participated, whether with physical labor or with supplies, huge thank you to everyone.
As Jay would say, thanks anyone who brought smokes, because
that babka was also really good.
Yeah,
everything was good. And again, just don't forget,
fill those holes.
Gentlemen, what are we?
3 balls in.
We are now 3 balls out. Have a great week, everybody. Dave, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm just speechless right now.
Dave,
awesome.
Dave, did that computer ever got numbers in front of it, or was it just sitting on your lap?
I was about to say a really dirty joke, but
good for you.
Your balls are just stuck in my head. That's all I can think about now.
I feel like you gotta play the "You Spin Me Right Round" song. Anyway,
all right, let's go, boys.
Feeling good. We're on hiatus. It's good to be back.
Dave-o?
Just throw it over. I got something better.
All right.
I mean, that was actually really good. I know it was great. I don't know why'd you pause.
What am I supposed to say after that?
You're supposed to say, "I love you too, Logan." That's all you say.
I love you and your balls too.
No. You are the ball,
right? Like the reference is to you two, not to my testicles.
Exactly.
That's what.
But it's an
double
entendre. I'll double your entendre. But yeah, no.
You usually got to pay. You just got to pay extra for that.
That was a great Scrubs line right there. So proud of you.
All right, let's.
Can we get back to the show now? All right.
Gronk left a big hole with his D. Gone. Somebody's special D is gonna need to fill that.
Yeah.
I don't think you even realize.
I know. As soon as you said,
I was like, I can't believe you just said that.
It's written down. What do you mean? I can't believe I said it.
Gronk left a hole with his D gone.
Of course, I knew what I would say.
Oh God.
Okay.
No, keep going. This is good stuff.
I'm just going to repeat that.
No, yeah, go for it. Go. Let's jump back in.
Those 2 sixes were by Gronk. Gronk left a huge hole with his D gone. So someone's going to need some special D to fill that hole. It's going to have to be, I don't know if it's going to be one person or it's going to have to be a collective team effort. All right, you guys good?
Oh, I just can't believe you repeated the same exact line.
No, I love that he did. What I want you to do is try and reference the fact that he'll need a gang of guys.
Okay.
It'll be a gang effort.
No problem. Okay.
We all up on your screens like it's prime time sprout.